Snipers, you have to see what's happening in the Bitcoin price right now. As we're heading into the weekend, I had to get out this emergency update with Bitcoin testing 17,000 US dollars right now. The reason that's so important, Snipers, is because if Bitcoin can break above 17,204, as you guys know, that is the major Snipers resistance level. That is going to bring an immense amount of volume and price action for Bitcoin to potentially get to test the $20,000 level, potentially even towards the $24,300 level, because you can see here above 17,204, there's no levels of resistance or roadblocks for Bitcoin to head towards 24,000 US dollars and potentially see a move of about 40% to the upside. And that does sound quite abnormal with Bitcoin over the last few weeks consolidating here at 16,000. But remember, a consolidation is exactly what you want to see in a bottoming formation. Does that mean this is the complete and absolute bottom for Bitcoin? Well, let's talk about some fundamentals. Check this out. Active supply can move between price levels pretty quickly, but this is extremely important right now because the on-chain supply distribution shows that at 16,600 US dollars roughly, we have the most amount of circulating supply for Bitcoin at that realized price. And what's very interesting is our previous bear market bottoms have also had a large influx of circulation within that specific price range, which would eventually turn into a bottom. Now, I'm not taking out the scenario here that Bitcoin cannot fall any further, because remember, on November 13th, 2018, we saw something very similar where at 6,500 US dollars, we had the most amount of price distribution, where within a month, we did see a 50% correction for Bitcoin down to 3,000 US dollars, and that ended up being the bottom. So, what if that were to happen at the current price range? If we see a 50% correction from where current realized prices in terms of distribution, we're talking about 8,400 US dollars for Bitcoin. That is potential scenario, an absolute max bottom scenario. What's interesting about that perspective is that would actually coincide with the normal 84% corrections that Bitcoin has during its bear market. You can see with an 84% correction brings us right around the $8,000 to $9,000 level, and that would complete this potential bear market, just like we saw the 84% correction from the initial bear market here that started in 2018. What's also interesting about that is if we do come down towards that level, we would fill that CME gap sitting at 9,665. This is the last and final CME gap left to the downside for Bitcoin to fill. So just getting price down there would fill that CME gap. Now we're talking a little bit more macro, but I do want to get into the immediate short term and talk about what's happening. MicroStrategy, Michael Saylor posting this today. The Bitcoin strategy is still winning. You can see Bitcoin and the performance since August 10th, 2020 is still outperforming every other asset in the market. S&P 500, NASDAQ, gold. We can even talk about some big tech stocks like Google, Apple, Microsoft. Bitcoin is still outperforming. So yes, if you just came into this market pre or post November 2020, for example, then of course this is a bear market to you. But if you were in the market prior to November of 2020, are we really in a bear market if our positions are still in profit from before the Feds began printing money? That's why Bitcoin is the greatest inflation hedge in the world. That's why Bitcoin will continue to be resilient regardless of the bad actors in the industry. Bitcoin's still outperforming. Let's talk about the immediate short term. Really at the end of the day, Snipers, what we're watching here is 17,204. There's not much more to say other than the fact that that is the range resistance. And you can see we're having a cup of coffee at this range resistance. We haven't visited the lower end of this range at 13,970 yet, meaning that at any point we could break back above 17,204. What if we do break above 17,204 and we see 30,000 before we see 10,000? That could be an elongated bear market, but that's something to watch for, and potentially being ready for that, allocating your assets properly, dollar cost averaging into Bitcoin at these lower prices could result in potentially over 100% upside there in the immediate short to medium term. That doesn't mean we shouldn't take profits. What's very interesting about this whole scenario is you can see Ethereum right now clearly testing the major bear market resistance level. I don't think a lot of people are talking about this. If we break this resistance level, which we're currently testing as we speak, that could potentially lead to some momentum for Ethereum as well, potentially some other altcoins. I know some altcoins that have an AI narrative are doing well right now. I think FET being one of them, over 140% up from its recent bottom. And so we're starting to see some projects gain some momentum despite all of the other bad news that we're seeing in the market, like what's happening with Huobi laying off so many employees. We're seeing a lot of drama with Binance and the amount of spot purchases that they control with their zero fee trading. Is Binance wash trading? Is that going to be another potential black swan event? A lot of bad news out there, but there's also a lot of good news, snipers, and I want to make sure that you guys are aware of that. And so, Ethereum testing that major level, Ethereum to Bitcoin chart, not doing much. Remember, the DXY, as much as it was strong last year, over the last 6 months, it's actually been extremely weak, coming below its 20-week moving average, selling off aggressively. That could be the end of the momentum here for the US dollar. Doesn't mean we won't see another push to the upside. I think that that's certainly possible. A push to the upside for the DXY would mean one more leg down for the overall markets. S&P 500 has room for a leg down. If it wanted to, it could go down further. It just has so much room to the downside at this point because it's actually been performing quite well against other assets. You can clearly see that here with Bitcoin against SPY. You can see Bitcoin pretty much selling off right now against the SPY, and that really accelerated during the FTX drama. You can see this massive sell-off of Bitcoin's valuation against the S&P 500 in relativity. And so it's going to be interesting to see what happens there. But Bitcoin right now, for the immediate short-term snipers, if we can get above 17,204, I think that gives us the chance to test the 20-week moving average again, potentially even break above the 20-week moving average, because really $20,000 would be the only other destination for Bitcoin, getting above 17,204, but the real destination would be 24,300. And of course, staying below 17,204 at any point, the door is open for a move to the downside to 13,970, which is why it's so critical right now, snipers, that we get some 6-hour candle confirmations, some institutional candle confirmations, and a break above 17,204. Could it happen this weekend? Well, we've been forming these higher lows. These are all good signs that potentially this weekend we could be seeing that potential move there above 17,204, where at that point we want to hold above 17,204 to assume further upsides for targets for Bitcoin. So let's see what happens, snipers. Hope you enjoyed this midnight update. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below, and more content coming out here. As you all know, I moved into the new home here recently, and so I am still getting things set up here for you guys. And with that, enjoy your weekend, snipers. I appreciate each and every one of you tuned in the channel, and I'll see you guys next time. Snipers out.